The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Pat Scott. Hey, Pat.
Hello there.
And Thomas Sanjurjo. Hey, Thomas.
Hey, Dom.
Happy Easter to everyone, by the way.
So Happy Eastertide. It lasts a while.
Yes, that's one of the best things of being Catholic is that our big holidays last for 8 days. Like you can eat cake and have dessert and do all the day. Like it's just like it's still Easter Sunday. So I've been mowing through some jelly beans like you wouldn't believe.
I was going to say there's still plenty of candy left.
Well, we didn't have any Easter candy this year because I was on a trip to see my brother, and we have no little children or anybody that came over, so I escaped it all.
My doctor, my primary care physician, would probably wish that I didn't, because I buy the candy for the children,
and you have to test it out to make sure it's good candy.
Yes,
and you always have to make sure that you've got enough, so you get extra.
Exactly. I bought the Costco bags this year. So
there you go.
Yeah. Happy Easter, everyone. And I do want to acknowledge a big Catholic event this week, which is at the passing of Pope Francis. May he rest in peace, and may God gather him into his embrace. An appropriate time to pass is Easter, in the Easter celebration and the beautiful season of Easter, just like Pope John Paul II when he died in the Easter season. So we commend him to God, and we pray for the Cardinals as they help choose the next guy up. Who's the next one up? So there may be some interesting. We may have a topic next week or in the following weeks where we talk about some of the tech related to the conclave, because Father Joseph was reminding me in our Slack that there is tech stuff involved. They're very high tech in the secrecy and security of the conclave. So I'll do a little research this week and see if we can turn that into a segment next time. That'll be an interesting discussion.
It's been pretty interesting around here. Our bishop is in Rome, and he is actually calling back and talking to our local Catholic radio station, and they're sharing back and forth about all of the different things that are happening. They managed to actually get one of the parishioners from our diocese was in Rome for the for Blessed Carlo Acutis being canonized, and so
he was already there.
They were already there and called home, and so we have a great radio station here.
Awesome. This is just a little conclave trivia. The first conclave in about 100 years that there will not be a Cardinal Archbishop from Boston voting in it. So at least 100 years. Kind of interesting. We don't have a dog in the hunt this time.
And we were waiting on the Pope to name our new bishop, and that's not going to happen immediately either.
That's bad and backburned. And this puts a new light on our StarQuest pilgrimage to Rome this coming summer. We're going to have a new Pope that we're going to get to meet. Yeah. So it's going to be makes it all that more interesting. So it's going to be fantastic. All right, let's get to the tech, though. We have an interesting topic we want to talk about tonight. A few months ago, we talked about smart tech for the kitchen, and it was a lot of like the gadgety sort of things. And I want to move up and revisit the topic and move up in size a bit and talk about small appliances. There's the big appliances, the fridge, the stove, the dishwasher. Those are the large appliances, but there are a lot of small appliances that kitchens can have, and there's a lot of tech on all those things, high tech and low tech, and we may cover from the range of that. And so I want to talk about small appliance kitchen tech in some of our favorites. But before we get to those, I consider smoke detectors part of the kitchen tech, because where do you find open flame in homes? Usually in the kitchen.
And smoke.
And smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and hopefully not too much of it. Hopefully it's contained. But if it doesn't get contained, you want a smoke detector. And so I just thought there was some interesting news. I've always, for a long time, favored the Google Nest smoke detectors. I like the fact that they are networked and they're connected to the internet. So if there's a smoke detector event when I'm not home, I get an alert on my phone, which is useful. But they and if one goes off down the hall and I'm in the other part of the house, I can I get the alarm in the part of the house where I am if it's far from the alarm, that sort of thing. So I like the connected Nest smoke detectors, except Google is now apparently getting out of the business of making smoke detectors and smart locks, which is interesting. But the good news is they're going to be partnering with First Alert, which is probably the big, Kid is the big name in smoke detectors, and First Alert is probably the number two. I mean, I don't know what the market is, but those are the two big names. Well, First Alert is going to be building smart smoke and carbon monoxide detectors that work with the Google Home app, just like the Nest ones do. So you can, at some point, so you can extend your network with a First Alert with these coming. I don't think they're here yet, but these coming First Alert smoke detectors. You can extend from your already existing Google Nest smoke detectors or replace them one-to-one. So I just thought that was interesting to see. As when they come out, I think I'm going to get one just to give it a try. One thing to point out, I think I pointed out before, smoke detectors have a limited lifespan. They only last for 10 years. They become less effective, much less effective after 10. They have a little radioactive bit in it that decays over time, and that's what detects the smoke. So if you really should check your smoke detectors every once in a while and see if there's a date on it and what the date is. If there's no date, then you need to replace it because it's been more than 10 years since they've been putting dates on them. So just a little advice.
Yeah, and if you check it every month, like this is the way we do it is there's dog meds that we have to do, filters on the AC, and then the smoke detector. So we run around the house and just push the button on all the smoke detectors, make sure they all beep. Right. That's the nice thing actually with the Nest is they do it by themselves. They do an automatic sound check. You get a warning on your phone and says sound check will go off on all the smoke detectors in a few minutes. And then you'll hear beep, beep, beep. And it goes all around the house. It's kind of fun. It's a little, annoying when you're in the middle of a podcast and you're like trying to time the, mute button. But folks may have heard that once, in a Blue Moon.
Possibly.
So double check your smoke detectors. Make sure they're working. Keep fresh batteries in them, all that sort of thing.
And if you're the kind of person that has bad ventilation in their kitchen and you tend to set your smoke detectors off very often, there are heat detectors as well that functionally are the same thing, but they only detect heat. So they don't detect smoke. They just read the heat signature. So if the fire gets out of control to a point where it's those are better to have in your kitchen if you don't have good ventilation in them, just because I think ours is in our living room and it still gets set off by the kids quite often.
My house is small enough that if I open if I'm making a roast, I open the stove, the smoke detector in our master bedroom goes off. Like it's just, if I'm cooking, we have to close all the bedroom doors and so it's a whole shebang. Yeah. Cause we have a small house, but but if you have a big enough house where your kitchen is slightly isolated and you do want a detector there, that is a great idea. Let's talk about some of these small appliances that we prefer. And Thomas, I'll let you go first. Why don't you mention something that you like? Give us an idea of what we're talking about.
So this is the first appliance I use in my kitchen every single morning. And I love coffee. I love my coffee beans to be fresh ground. So I am a big proponent of fresh ground coffee. So I have them in a nice air sealed jar and I grind them fresh every morning. And the grinder that I have found that works is a Krups grinder. It's very simple. It's like a $20 grinder. We had one of these when we first got married. It came as part of a package that someone gave us and loved it, used it for I think 13 years. And it just worked the whole time. And then it broke finally one day. And it wasn't even the grinder itself that broke. It was the lid that broke in such a way that you couldn't actually replace it and get the button to switch on and off anymore. So I tried 4 or 5 other grinders after that point and ended up coming back to this one because I was like, I just know this one works. I'm going to go buy the darn Krups grinder again. Right. I don't know why I didn't buy it for $20 too. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's no brainer. I should have gotten it.
You always think something must be better. Like, we got to see what else is out there, right?
Let's try new one.
Well, I feel fortunate that I did not go through 4 or 5. It was the first one I bought, and I had said I wasn't using much tech, but that is one I'm using constantly, and it just doesn't give up.
No, they're great.
I recommend you buy 2 of them, right? One for coffee, one for spices.
Yes.
I have one that I keep just for spice. Don't mix them up because you really don't want your coffee to taste like,
nutmeg.
cinnamon. Well, actually, cinnamon's not bad.
Actually,
just like
nutmeg's
cumin,
pretty good too.
Like you don't want cumin coffee or like hot garlic. I don't put garlic in mine. Anyway, you get one they use for spices, and then so that when you buy your spices for cooking, you want to buy. Sometimes you want to get whole spices. Whole spices last longer. They keep the oils, the essential oils inside. Not that kind of essential oils. The oils inside. I buy peppercorns and I grind them up as I need them because they're much better that way. And I love to have this. I've had one of these in my cabinet for grinding spices for, like you said, since we're married, probably, it's probably 20 years, 15 years. It's just forever. And one of these days it's going to, I see the cracks forming in the plastic lid.
Right.
Like, if you look at the link, you'll see what we mean when you look at the lid. There's a clear dome top. So yeah, that's great. Now there are 2 kinds of coffee grinders. Essentially, there are blade grinders and burr grinders, and coffee aficionados will tell you that a burr grinder is better for grinding. They're much more expensive.
I didn't find it to be that much better either.
Krups does make one of those too. So, I mean, if I was going to go with a burr grinder, I needed a burr grinder, I would get it. Now, I do have a hand grinder, like one of the hand burr grinders.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean,
so long.
It does. And it's not really like, you can probably taste a difference. But really, what's going to make the biggest difference is buying the right beans. Go for your light roasts. Go make sure that you keep the beans well, freeze them if you're not going to be using them. Keep them in an air-sealed container.
Vacuum sealed. We do. Yeah.
Exactly.
We're going to do an episode on coffee tech at some point.
Yeah.
This sounds good to me.
We'll have 20 people in that group.
Like, the Krups burr grinder is $50. Probably the big benefit is you can dial in the grind size on those, which is with the blade grinder, you're eyeballing it. And it looks like they sell a $30 one that's silent, quote unquote. I have no experience with that.
This thing's really not that loud. It's not.
Yeah. Again, if you look at a
depends
small
upon
house,
the other person. Yes.
I was going to say a small house.
I muffle mine with a towel.
Yeah, that might be worthwhile. Yeah. Good start there. Now I want to mention too, I don't have either of these. I kind of want one of them. It's the Ninja Creamy 7-in-1 ice cream maker. And they also have one that just makes ice cream and one that makes ice cream in soft serve. So it makes like hard, the hard serve and the soft serve. I saw Life by Mike G, the Pro Home Cooks YouTube channel. He demonstrated one of these. They sent him one for review and he was demonstrating it, and he was throwing all kinds of stuff in there. He was throwing he made soft serve yogurt and just regular egg custard ice cream. I saw a different person online just throw straight up banana in it, like just nothing else, just
frozen banana.
And just made a smoothie out of, like a soft serve banana out of it. When my daughter had when she had her dairy allergies, we would make her banana ice cream with banana, like just mashed up frozen banana and chocolate powder. The Ninja Creamy 7-in-1 ice cream maker, it's $200. The one that does the soft serve is like another $50, I think, on top of that. So they're not exactly cheap, and they do take up counter space. So those are the kind of the downsides of it. But the way it works is it's got this clear chamber that you put the ingredients in. You put it in the base. It mixes it up. It freezes it up cold, and then you put it in your freezer. You can either right then and there, or if you want it to be really like hard ice cream, you can put it in the freezer and it will freeze it up for you there. And then there's also like another one where you then move it to the soft serve side and you make soft serve ice cream in a cone.
It's crazy, like swirl style ice cream. That looks amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so cool. I want to a little tangent. I want to tell a story. I worked at a frozen yogurt shop with my brother when we were in high school, and when you do the cone, it kind of leaves a little space in the middle. Like when you swirl it around, that little, the line that it makes, it leaves a gap in the middle. It's just a natural aspect of it. And we had this, we were working together one night and we had this line and people were like, like really whiny. And for somebody it was like a full moon or something. And this one lady comes up and complains to my brother, my ice cream has a hole in it. So he reaches across the counter, sticks his finger in the middle, goes, boop, not anymore. And then she had this horrified look on her face. And he says, I'll get you a new one. And he took it from her and got her a whole brand new ice cream.
And then put his finger on it where she didn't see.
Yeah. But he made sure to fill the hole up when he made it too. So that lady benefited from that. Anyway, so you could have your very own experience with make your very own soft serve ice cream with the Ninja. Now, I feel like Ninja's got a lot of interesting products. Like they started with what was it, the bullet or something? Yeah. And I thought, that's kind of an interesting, little food processor. But they've really expanded into a lot of different products that they make, the whole range of them. So it's kind of wild.
You got some interesting air fryers that I've been eyeballing for a while.
Yeah. See, I don't have any air fryers on the list because I don't have one. I'm interested. We have a small kitchen. My wife says we have no more room for appliances. So I haven't been able to to get anything in. And when you have a family as large as mine and yours, appliances that are big enough to make enough food for everyone are rare. So that's why I have like the giant 8-quart Instant Pot, which I've talked about in a previous episode. So yeah,
that's why I like that our oven has an air fry function. That's cool. What I end up using as an air fryer, which is
essentially a convection. It just it moves the air around, which is the what it's doing anyway. So we don't have any air fryers on our list. So what we do have is something from a listener. Listener Jenny wrote in after our last episode on kitchen tech. She says the kitchen appliance that if you bake bread is the thing you never knew you wanted until you actually get it. Yes, it's pricey, but especially if you live somewhere that has winter or when it's chilly, it's way better than the oven. I've baked more breads and rolls since getting it. And what it is the Broad & Taylor folding proofer and slow cooker. Now, bread makers have been around forever, like the bread machines. This isn't that. What it is it's a closed box where it controls the temperature and humidity perfectly for yeast to let it rise. So you can, and I think it also, if I understand, it has a mechanism inside to fold the dough to kind of to roll it. If I'm understanding, that's why it's called a folding.
Well, I thought that was because the whole thing collapsed and folds.
Yeah, I think it just
into a flat. Okay. It looks like a laptop.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. That's what it is. It folds down into small. Wow, that's really cool because then it doesn't take up much space.
Right.
Yeah. And then you can use it as a slow cooker. Like if you'd have to put a pan inside it, like a holding food. And then I also see like they have a thing for like you can make yogurt in it. They have they have a picture on their website of canisters of yogurt, in mason jars, so you can make your own yogurt. And like she said, it's not cheap. It's $220. But if you're someone who bakes a lot,
if you're into bread, this is such a powerful tool because
you can control that. Yeah,
you're always at the mercy of the humidity and whatever the humidity is doing. So even in climate controlled environment, you get a different. You do everything exactly the same, even with a bread maker, and it's going to come out different because it's just little more humid that day. So this would be really nice.
Yeah, well, that yoga shop that I worked at, it was like a sort of bakery too. So we sold croissants and stuff like that. And you had those professional proofing boxes, and those things were like magic. It was awesome to have those. On Easter, Holy Saturday, my wife's making the bread for Sunday, and it's like they take the stove and heat it up to the 200 a little, and let it cool off just a little bit, and then put the bread, the dough in there to let it rise. You can't use the stove for anything else while it's doing that sort of thing. But if you had something like this, you could that would be really great. I like
and point out to Melanie, it does fold up into a very small space,
and it does tiny. Fold up small. Yeah, that might be
I wonder how durable it is with it folding in and out like that.
Yeah,
that's a good question. Yeah, I mean it's plastic, and those hinges, if the hinges that I see there are metal inside, that might be good, especially if you take care when you're folding it up and you don't jam it closed.
It looks like it might have metal hinges, so that I don't know. I'd be interested. I'd definitely let us know more.
Yeah, Jenny, let us know whether
Thank you, Jenny.
How durable it is. Yeah, it's a great pick, great suggestion. So if one of the things I love, we don't have an ice cream maker, but you can make smoothies, and I love the Breville. They call it the Fresh and Furious Blender.
Why furious?
It's because it's mad at whatever it's mashing, I think, or something.
Okay. So it makes a lot of noise.
The heck out of it. I don't know. But this is a huge capacity blender. So right off the bat, that's great. And it's nice and heavy, so it's not going to walk off the counter on you. That's another good one. The cord winds up in a space underneath, so you don't have the cord all over the little touches, right? Those are the great things. And the canister is shaped such that you can really get in there and, get things out, you scrape things out when you're using it, which is again another thing. And it's designed so that when it's blending, it's really pushing the ingredients down inside, so
not
that
just a motion twirling. It's really
exactly, yeah. It's powerful engine, and we make smoothies especially in the summer, all the time with it. With peanut butter or with, and milk or ice and, grinding up ice. And it's got these nice controls where you can tell it, you hit a button and it will go for a period of time. And there's even like a smoothie button where it will speed up, slow down, do all that stuff. And there's a cleaning function, which is great. You just fill it with some warm water and some soap. And then it does like a whole cleaning, like a 2-minute or 1-minute cleaning cycle of various speeds to clean it. And it does a pretty good job. It's not cheap, but I feel like a blender, you really do get what you pay for.
You do
with a blender. So
100%.
Like this is $200 on Amazon, but it's going to last a long time. Thomas, you had something that similar, another blender.
Yeah, we use the Vitamix. So we use the Vitamix Propel series, and it not only will it do the smoothies, but it will also make soup. Because the blades get going so fast that it will warm up the contents inside. Just leave it running for a little bit.
That's awesome.
And it's really cool. Like the first time you ever do that, you're like, there's no way, but it really does actually make soup. It comes out as soup, and it's a nice thick, like a tomato soup, and it tastes great. It's warm. It's the perfect temperature coming right out of the Vitamix. So
you can throw lots of veggies in there and have a lot of good things in.
Oh, excellent. And then one of the cool things that they have too is the lid. When you take the lid off of it, there's a paddle that they give you. Yeah. And you stick it in. It's just long enough that it compresses down to the blades, but you can never hit the blades with it. So you just wiggle it around and get everything all mixed up as it's going. And it's fantastic. It is a really, really great system. They are expensive. There's no doubt about that. But in all seriousness, this is a device that you will use for many, many different things, and it's well worth the money. The quality is great. It has the same kind of cord wraps up underneath. You can buy larger jars canisters to go on top of it. So definitely recommend this. I initially did not want this because they're noisy, they're big, they take up the counter space. And once we got it in the house, we started going through the recipe book, and we're like, this is actually viable. We can do this, and we end up using it all the time now.
I mean, I feel like this is one of those things where it could be like an heirloom thing. You could pass it down.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's almost like it's up there with our KitchenAid. Yeah. Like it's definitely up there with our mixer that, with our stand built mixer. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good product.
I remember
we did have a problem with it at one point, and when we called in, they were like, "Oh yeah, just send this and this in, and we'll send you the replacement pieces." And they honor the warranties about it too.
They stand behind it. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, so makes the $200 blender look not so expensive, and you realize these things, especially if you use them a lot, they're gonna wear out if you don't get something solidly built. Mm-hmm. So one thing a lot of people get, and I used to have, is a food processor, like the Cuisinart is the classic one, with the 8 or 12 cup Cuisinart. And that's fine, but they tend to be heavy, and I never use them for, like, it comes with all these blades, and I only ever use the one blade, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like slicing stuff with it because it just jams, whatever you're slicing into the top, and it just never really works for me. But what I do like is this next one, which is the Braun Multi-Quick 9 hand blender. So what it is it's this handle with a motor in it. And it comes with a whole bunch of attachments. There's an immersion blender attachment. There's a whisk attachment, which I don't really use a lot. And then there's like 2 food processor attachments, a small chopper one, for like if you need to just chop up some, I don't know, garlic or something. And then a big full size, just like the size of a regular food processor chopper. And so you just attach the handle to whatever it is you need to use at the moment and go to town. And it's been great. In fact, we've had 2. We wore one out, and I bought a replacement. And I don't feel like it wore out early. We really use these a lot. Mm-hmm. And so we've had 2 of these within 20 years of marriage. And I make salsa in it. We've made I think like some food processors could do like doughs, like pizza dough and stuff. I don't know that I would use it. I don't think it would do it for that. I don't think it's got the oomph for that. But my KitchenAid has the power to do that. So I just would use the KitchenAid for that. But for most other things that I would use a food processor for, this is really great. And I love having an immersion blender, like being able to, like whenever we make curry, you throw in the garlic and the ginger in this cup it comes with, and a little bit of water, and you just, mash the heck out of it, with the immersion blender, and it turns into a nice paste. Or, if you've got soup in a big pot and you want to blend some of it up, you throw the immersion blender in. It's just great for that sort of thing. And the whole thing is $219, but that's, somewhere in the neighborhood that you would get, pay probably at the low end for a regular food processor. And this does a lot more. So,
they do have the smaller one too that doesn't have the great big container. It has the small container, not the big one.
Right.
I was going to put this one. Yeah. I was going to put this one on the list myself. And so when I got here and saw it, I was like, oh yeah, there. That's a great device.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. The second opinion on that. Yeah. Like having the bigger container was the big thing for me. Like it is $100 difference. And I think $100 is a lot of a difference for that. But it's worth it to have that bigger container. Definitely.
With your family. Yes. Which is 2 of us know.
Right. That's true. If your house needs are smaller, then you might be able to get away with that smaller one. And if you already have a big food processor, that's worthwhile. Right.
You make a mean pesto in this thing, though. Oh my gosh!
Yes,
it makes pesto so well.
Exactly. Yeah, I gotta find like the cup that they give you that comes with it is great, but it's starting to crack a little, and I'm worried about it, making a leak. But you could get any, plastic cup that's kind of taller than wide. You know what I mean? It's like to use for this. So I'm not too worried about replacing that.
And Dom, if you haven't tried it yet with the whisk, try making mayonnaise. It is really good at making mayonnaise because it keeps everything moving real fast.
Interesting. Yeah, I used to make mayonnaise either in the food processor or the blender, but just with the whisk, that might be interesting. Yeah, I might try that. With the blender, I make, by the way, a quick hollandaise sauce, which is really good.
I do that with my blender.
You don't need a double boiler to make a decent hollandaise sauce and all that sort of stuff. This is there's a if you look online, you'll see a bunch of, quick hollandaise sauce recipes that'll get you there. All right. So the next one, as a large family, my family, we've owned rice cookers again from the beginning for 20 years. And I looked at my Amazon order history, and we've owned like 8 or 10 of them in the past 20 years. maybe 6 or 7, maybe, but we've had a lot of them. Rice cookers are a very basic technology, like the basic rice cookers. They are just a thermostat, and the way they work is water and rice go inside, and it heats up, and water boils at 212. So as long as there's water in there, the temperature will never go above 212. But once the water evaporates, the temperature will go above 212, and the thermocouple, which is technically a thermocouple, will register that and turn off the power. So that's the most basic kind of rice cooker. The reason we've gone through so many is because one had a glass lid, which was dumb, in a house full of kids. Then another one of them, the handle broke, and I always had my eye on this particular one. And the rice cookers can be a very inexpensive thing, but we eat a lot of rice in my family. We have rice at least 4 out of 7 dinners a week. Like we eat a lot of Asian cuisine, but it's also, as big families know, rice is cheap. It's one of the cheapest bulk foods. And so I have had my eye on the Zojirushi Fuzzy Logic rice cookers for ages. And then I found one that makes 10 cups of rice. Again, there's 7 of us, so 10 cups is just about right for us. And it's 10 cooked cups, not 10 uncooked cups of rice. So in the end, you're going to have 10 cups because it expands. It's $144, but it's really nice. You just pop it in the rice, the water, and turn it on. And then within 40 minutes, you have, depending on how much rice you put in, but I usually put, 5 cups of rice in to make the full batch. And 40 minutes, we're done. You can tell it, I want to do sushi style rice. I want to do brown rice. It will change things up internally, how it cooks it, depending on what you tell it you're cooking. So it's really great. I love it. I think it has a detachable power cord, which I like. Again, I hate power cords like flopping all over the kitchen. They either have to wind up inside it or come off altogether and store inside. And this one doesn't. And then it will play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star to you when you start it up, which is what could be nicer. So,
I love the devices that sing to you.
Yes, Japanese devices, appliances sing to you, which is awesome. Although I have to point out, my new freezer, I have a stand-up freezer. We're not talking about freezers in general, but my new stand-up freezer plays the opening notes to Howard Shore's Shire Hobbit music from the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, neat.
Like, it's just like when you open it, like, it's like I just stand there opening and closing it because I feel like I'm in Hobbiton.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
that's the most Hobbit thing ever, Dom. Standing in front of your freezer, opening and closing it.
Exactly. I'm in the Shire. But anyway. Large capacity rice cookers are fantastic for any big Catholic family, but they make small ones as well. And you don't need an expensive one. You can get them for cheap money. I know people are like, I just make it on the stove. I mean, you can just make it in a pot on the stove, but this is like the old commercial said, set it and forget it. You just put the water and rice in and turn it on.
That's the big difference is the set it and forget it, because you really cannot mess rice up in these things. It just won't happen.
The only way you can mess it up is if you don't get the proportions of water and rice right, which has happened in my house. I will not mention who did that in my house, which it wasn't me, but it has happened in my house where you get crunchy rice at dinner time. So that's not a pleasant. So just as long as you get the proportions of water right, you're good. Thomas, you get one more to share with us. What's that one?
So my last one's kind of a low tech, high tech combo. Anyone who is composting from their kitchen. So you've got to take stuff out of your kitchen and get it to your composter. We have a very large composter in the backyard, but the stuff still has to get there, and you don't want to pause every time you finish chopping something to walk all the way out to the backyard and dump it. So we have a little countertop compost bin that's fantastic. It's got a carbon filter on the top of it, and when it seals shut, you can't smell anything. And we know because when you open that thing, you can definitely smell it, but when it's closed, you cannot. So that's fantastic. And anyone who's interested in composting, you do not smell the compost once it's out in the actual composter. It's only that kind of the between phases where it ends up smelling. But anybody who does this knows also that there are bugs, and it's going to happen with keeping the compost stuff around. There's always going to be bugs. So what we have is this little thing called a Zevo bug trap, and it's a little blue light with a sticky pad on it. It's very nice looking. It's non-obtrusive. It really fits nice with all of the stuff that we have in our kitchen, and it just plugs into the wall like you would one of those scent things, the Glade scent things. It plugs into the wall, and it just has this nice blue light that attracts the bugs, and that thing works.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
We replace those sticky pads very often because it does a great job catching the bugs. But the combo here is so good because, when you've got that countertop compost, it attracts bugs. It just does.
And you live in Florida, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's where that's Bug Central.
It's 100% Bug Central.
It's spring, and we're beginning to see the fruit flies. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is great. So bug zapper for in the house, but it doesn't zap them. It
doesn't zap. Them. Yeah. It just catches them. There's no noise at all, and the light is just a really pleasant, nice, mellow blue.
Right. The light is what attracts them. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Great idea.
Blue light special.
There you go.
Where they check in, but they don't check out. No, that's Roach Motel. But I like that combination, and because we try to compost, but like we've had like a bin with bags that are compostable bags, and it's kind of a messy, and the bags don't really compost, and so that's been a pain. But having something like this composter has an internal bucket that with a handle that you can carry out. So it looks nice on the counter. It looks ceramic on the counter, but it's the interior you can take out and wash out, which is good.
I'm really happy too. Like the cover, the front of the bin has just the word compost on it and a tree. It's like no branding or anything like that. It just looks really nice. So it fits on your countertop too. It's not like you're advertising for anything, or it doesn't look clunky. Right. It looks like it works.
Right. Nice. I like that. I like that. That's a great idea. Excellent. So that is a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, we've only scratched the surface. We didn't even talk about like countertop ice cube makers, which is another thing that
my wife wanted me to, but I told her we haven't bought it yet. We've just been looking.
There's one. Is it one of the big names, GE or somebody, has one that makes the ice cubes that are like the Sonic, the chewable ice cubes. I'm like, Melanie, come on, like Sonic ice cubes on your countertop.
And she's like, teeth.
Well, no, she says, show me where we'll fit.
What countertops?
And then we can talk about it. I'm like, yeah, I know. We need a bigger house, at least a bigger kitchen. So, but there are undoubtedly more things, and we'd love to actually have folks to recommend stuff to us. We'll follow up with, if we get enough, we'll follow up with an episode where we'll do the listener suggestions for this category, and because there's lots more we could have talked about that we didn't. So thank you for folks for sending that in. Thank you, Jenny, for example, for sending that in. All right, before we move on, we want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the secrets of technology, including Kathleen F., Tim L., Daniel D., Max S., and Mark R. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest, and you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So we have a couple of headlines we want to talk about, and the first one comes from the Wall Street Journal, and they talk about how companies they kind of talk about in the context of as more companies have return to office orders where people are, post-COVID returning to the office, they realize they need to upgrade their office space to make it more human,
palatable.
livable. Yes. So the headline is "Offices Ditch Harsh Fluorescent Lights. New Tech is on the Way." And it talks about a bunch of different technologies for making the office lighting better. And let me tell you, I would have when I worked in an office, I've worked in too many offices where it was all harsh electric fluorescent light, not electric light. It's all electric light. I haven't worked in places where just torch mostly.
The smoke detector would be necessary.
Yeah, exactly. No, fluorescent is what I was trying to say. And some of the technology that they talk about in this is really awesome. Places where you have no exterior walls, in parts of the office, they can put in panels that are like outdoor windows or like a skylight, and it's a really good simulation of outdoor natural lighting, which they know is important because they've discovered that our eyes, this was some years ago, our eyes can detect certain wavelengths of light that we're not consciously aware of, but that are important for our mental and physical well-being, which is interesting. So if you're in Severance and you only live down in the basement of the building, that's bad for you. So it's really interesting. So what do y'all think of this? I mean, what is your experience with office lighting? And would you have preferred to work in an office that had lighting like this?
I worked in a lot of state offices that didn't spend a lot of money on lighting. So yes, and especially where it talked about one that simulated, the sunrise, sunset, and the moon over there, and made it feel like you were actually, getting some outside time.
But also the passage of time, I think, is important because if you're indoors without access to windows a lot, and not getting a sense of the passage of time can be really disorienting. And
in fact, I think Austin has a regulation that they cannot, like in student buildings or apartments, they must have an outside window, because they talked about some studies where students just got really had some serious problems after just being on an inside compartment. So now they must have a window.
Yeah. We have some really cool lights that are smart lights that I can time over day, and they have warmth to the color. So they go from a warmer color to a cooler color, and I bounce them from the warm color in the daytime during the wake up cycle where everybody's trying to get up, into the cooler colors in the middle of the day. So it's nice, clean, bright environment, and then back to the warmer colors towards the end of the day to calm back down. And it is actually really, really fantastic. You don't realize how much just the warmth of a white, like the variation on that white being warmer or cooler, makes you feel until you get that experience. And then it's opened my eyes just in our house how to do that. So I can imagine an office space being able to do that, and then have that energy and change over the day would be really great.
I much prefer warmer light in general, just like the warmer tones. But one of the things that I really dislike about fluorescence isn't even just the color as much as even the sound. Fluorescent lights have a buzz to them, and it's a background buzz that really can mess with you. Can give you. Some people get headaches. They get it's really nasty. So even just on the level of fixing the sound environment in an office because of this is great. I would love to see more. I would love to see more offices be redesigned to be more human, more, even when I worked at the Archdiocese of Boston, for a time I had to work in a cubicle, and I hated being in a cubicle. I felt like a rat in a maze. It felt not human. And then eventually we got moved into, I had a shared office with some folks, and, my office mate and I, we would keep the overhead lights off. We had exterior windows that we loved to have on, open, and we had desk lamps, and it just felt more, comfortable. Yeah, more human, more humane, more comfortable. I think
it's really nice important too that the price has come to a point with LEDs where these are these are essentially LED lights, and they're controllable. And the price point is probably the same as or better than at this point the fluorescents and that's a lot of where I think it used to be. It used to win out was the fluorescent was just cheaper and easier to maintain over a long period of time. And it's just not the case anymore. You know, like you don't need to put an incandescent light bulb in there. Just get some LEDs and you're good to go.
Right. And then, you know, with the fluorescents, you had the ballasts and all that sort of stuff that just they were constantly requiring maintenance of that one sort or another. And LEDs last longer than fluorescents do, too. So it's more cost effective in the long run and better for the environment. So excellent. So our next headline is just a little interesting tech news. Google is backing off of a promise. They had said that Google Chrome would discontinue the use of third-party cookies. These are tracking cookies that third-party, usually advertisers or websites, could put into the browser that could track your use across several websites, hopefully anonymously, but not necessarily. And they were going to phase them out, and they just announced that they're not. We will not be rolling out. We made the decision to maintain our current approach to offering users third-party cookie choice in Chrome. I love how they phrase it as the users are getting a choice, and will not be rolling out a new standalone prompt for third-party cookies. So, what do you think of this? Unhappy?
I'm not surprised. I was kind of surprised that they were going to go through with it. This is caving to the money. You know, which is kind of sad because it's Google, right? So they're making money on search and on all sorts of different means and methods. So they don't really need to be making money off of their users in Chrome. But you know, who am I to say how they run their business?
Well, I have a feeling this is not unrelated to the antitrust lawsuit where the Justice Department is telling them, we want you to divest, you know, because you have this monopoly in search, we want you to spin off Chrome to a separate company. Now, if they get rid of the third-party cookies, that's more evidence that they're maintaining this monopolistic control over the ad search market. You know, I remember when Apple did away with a lot of that stuff in Safari, you know, Facebook was crying to the high heavens about how awful this is for small businesses like ours. You know, like,
losing money.
Facebook. We can't track our users anymore. So
I know that Chrome has a way that you can turn off the third-party cookies, but it breaks a lot of things when you do this.
Right. Right. The choice is not much of a choice, put it that way. Yeah.
And the plugins that you can get, there are some plugins that work that are good, but they keep getting squashed too. Google keeps going in and either buying them or you know,
changing something so they don't work anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wish that they would do away with this kind of behavior. I really feel like it's not necessary on the modern internet, and they. You know, if at this point, if you want to make an ad, go make an ad that goes into the social medias and
be creative about it. Yeah, make some creative ads that I don't mind watching.
Exactly.
People used to make plenty of money off of ads where you didn't know everything about the person looking at the ad beforehand. Like it is not necessary. You know, and it's not necessary to use Chrome anymore. There are plenty of alternatives out there, including Chrome-based alternatives like Brave. The problem is that there are lots and lots of people who never, you know, switch up from the pre-installed browsers. You know, and so they're just stuck with what they've got.
And Microsoft's is a pre-installed Google Chrome browser too, so
right, you know, exactly.
There's really Firefox had been the only alternative, really.
Right. So, and then our next one, I include this just because I think this is kind of a finally. Airbnb now shows the full price of your stay by default. So what they're talking about here is, there was a time before this when you could go to Airbnb and you'd say, oh, look, this place is available in Los Angeles for $150 a night. I'm going to get a 2-night stay. And I've seen this. I've literally seen this, people posting this on social media. I'm going to stay there for 2 nights. So $300, right? No, because by the time it's added in all the extra fees, the cleaning fee, the air fee, I don't know, there's all kinds of other fees.
Refrigerator restocking fee.
Yeah, it was $900 for 2 nights, like instead of from the $150 like to $900. Like, so you had all these. It was almost like a bait and switch. And so now when you search, the price that comes up will be all inclusive except taxes, which is fine because everything else is like that too. But the reason they're doing this is not because of the goodness of their heart, is because the European Union has been looking into this as a consumer protection issue. So I don't stay in Airbnbs a lot. I have stayed in Airbnbs or in Vrbo in the past, and maybe will again in the future. And I just find it really frustrating when I am looking for a place and I have to kind of keep going back and forth and doing the math to make sure I'm not getting, this ridiculous price.
Or, talking to your kids and you go, oh, hey, guys, we just found a place. And you go through and then you go from, oh, we can afford to do this to, no, we cannot afford to do this.
Yeah. It would be one thing if it was like a little bit more, but it was often a lot more, like way more than the cost of the actual stay. And hopefully this will also rein in some of the hosts who will make some of these fees a little more sane. Now that they can't hide their profit margin in the fees, they'll have to be a little bit more sane about it, and everything will be upfront, which I approve.
As long as they make sure they don't put hidden cameras in them. That's been the biggest controversy over the Airbnbs and Vrbo.
Right. I mean, if you think about it, it would be like if Uber drivers could set their own prices, instead of it being set by Uber, and then they added in fees and stuff, then it's like, oh, it's 5 cents a mile. Oh, but then there's like a $50 cleaning fee after you're done. It's like ridiculous. Like,
your bottle of ice water.
Yeah, it's a $5 bottle of ice water.
Well, can you imagine trying to get an Uber? You'd sit there forever trying to scroll through, like you'd click through 3 buttons to get to the Uber driver, and then you'd go, nope, not that one. Okay, let me go find another one.
Exactly. So this is hopefully going to make it a little more sane. Yeah. So those are our headlines. And so let's move on to our picks of the week. Pat, why don't you go first? What's your pick this week?
Well, as everybody knows, I have a fondness for having chargers, and Anchor has always been mine. And I had gotten one for Christmas that I really liked that had a built-in cable on it. And so it was a nice small one, compact, with its own cable that would, And then I found one today that actually has an Apple Watch charger on it, too.
Oh, nice.
So that means I've got to upgrade my wish list. Because that's always been the thing is having to carry the extra Apple charger with me. And it didn't always work with power banks, because it needs a different type of trickle charge as opposed to the full charge that a lot of things get. So
this is really neat, too, because it like flips up so you can rest your watch on it. I like that.
Right.
That's cool.
Right. The Anchor Maggo power bank for Apple Watch. Yeah, that's been an issue that I've run into is the charging. Like when I'm camping, I want to charge my phone, charge my watch overnight. This is why I need an Apple Watch Ultra, by the way, so it will last the whole Boy Scout camping weekend. Right? That's my story. I'm sticking to it. And but finding a charger that can do the trickle charge, and I have like this big like Anchor base station thing that does it, but this is more compact, it's smaller,
convenient.
It's designed for it. Yeah, you don't need an extra, a separate Apple Watch cable. No, I really like this. This is it's fantastic, and I love this new thing they're doing where they are integrating the cable as a wrist strap, into it. They have several of them that we've talked about where they do it. And this is $90 for 10,000 milliamp hours, which is plenty.
It's good to throw in your carry with you. Yeah.
That'll charge your phone and your watch a couple days at a time, and then you just recharge it, in an outlet. Excellent. And it says here fast recharge, right?
Well, it said it would charge itself in an hour and a half.
Oh, nice.
Just for a full charge on that thing. So to me, that's fast charge. I don't mean it fast charges other things. It self charges.
It recharges itself faster.
Right. I may have
long
misstated.
layover, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
In an airport. Excellent. Thomas, what have you got for us?
All right. So we made the move recently to electric lawn tools, and anybody who's looking at electric lawn tools, you're gonna find that they kind of come in sets similar to your power tools, where you pick your color and you stick with it.
Yes, your Makita, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So what we ended up going with was this company called Greenworks. They're electric yard tools. We went with the 80-volt set of them. They're really good. We have a lawnmower, blower, an edger, and a weed whacker. And they have interchangeable batteries. They charge really quickly and efficiently, and they work. That's the big thing I was worried about, was having enough power out of them. We have a nice, lush, fresh new lawn, and these things just chew through the grass. So I have been very, very pleased with them. My 17-year-old uses them regularly. They weigh next to nothing, and they don't make practically any noise at all. So highly recommend them. I did hold off on making this recommendation until I actually had used them several times. So I've been really happy with them, and am very happy to recommend them as a outdoor system.
So like I have like a battery powered weed whacker, and even a pruner and some things like that from Ryobi, from Home Depot. But I like the idea that you can get it as a bundle with a like a lawnmower as well, a electric battery powered lawnmower. Do you have the mower?
We do have the mower, and it works. It's fantastic.
Yeah. How's the charge on it?
It's great, and you don't have to charge it in the middle of a run. Like, we can get our whole yard. Our yard's a pretty good size, but you can get a whole run once through. Now, it does use 2 batteries instead of just 1, so that's kind of how they get around that. I think is that you plug 2 batteries into it, but then you can stick them back onto the charger where it charges 2 at a time. So just in between the charges, you just throw it on the charger and you're good to go.
Right. And cool. It has a bundle, 2 batteries, a charger, weed whacker, blower, and the lawnmower for $440 on their website for the 48 volt. But you said you got the 80 volt.
We went with the 80. I just went ahead and got the higher power one just to make sure that I wasn't going to run into any issues with it.
That's something to keep in mind when you're buying these things, is you want to have the voltage is an analog for the amount of power, the amount of ability to do things with them. So that's a good point. And
these batteries really aren't very heavy. Like that was my other big concern, was how heavy the batteries
are. It looked like
a
car battery, but that would be pretty heavy. But they're not that heavy.
Yeah, they're not that heavy. No, I can carry 2 of them around, no problem.
Wow.
And if they design the device, the handheld device well, it'll be balanced in your hand.
Perfectly. Yeah. And the whole device itself is incredibly light. And then once you put the battery in, it feels great. It feels exactly like it's supposed to. Works really well. Is well portioned too. That's the other thing that I've been really impressed with, because the edger, it's kind of ergonomically designed to make you do exactly what you're supposed to do with an edger, which is nice, because it can be kind of off-putting if you're a tall guy trying to use an edger and not able to handle it properly. But this one works great. Right. I've been really happy with everything.
They if you are a Costco member, they do sell them at Costco. Seasonally.
I will admit that is partially why we went this route. So
right, and if you get your 2 or 3% back, if you're you get the different membership levels. I am acutely aware of those percentage points these days. That's where I bought my freezer. I'm only going to buy like my big appliances at Costco from now on, because they do free delivery and installation and takeaway, and you get your percentage points back. So I'm a big fan. Excellent. Very good. So I'm thinking, like, I've always had gas mowers, but the last time I replaced one, I looked at the battery powered ones, and I wasn't quite there yet. But next time I may go for it. They also have, you don't know about this, you wouldn't care about this, but they have snow blowers as well. Battery powered snow blowers.
If it's Florida, no, you don't need those.
Don't need them at all.
I wish I didn't need it.
We had one mower that was an electric mower that had a long cord on it, That was way back when. And I always was scared to death somebody was going to run over it.
Yep.
We never did.
I'd
But
be afraid of running over it with the mower, but yeah.
yeah.
When you have ADHD teenage boys,
Yeah.
Right.
in their own world mowing the lawn, I worry enough about them, running over themselves.
No rocks.
Yes. Ugh. All right. So my pick is a little Mac app, free, called HiDoc, which kind of reminds me of Looney Tunes. But what this is it's custom dock settings for when you are using different displays. And what I mean by that is this is really for MacBooks. You have, when you're on the built-in display, it will put the dock, say at the bottom right at a certain particular size. And then when you plug in an external display at work, say if you have one external display at work, it will switch it up. And then if you plug in to your multiple displays at home, so you have two, it will rearrange it and set it up perfectly for that. So if you just like your dock being in different places on different screens, what it isn't, it won't put the dock on multiple screens at once. It can't do that. That's not what it's for. It's a very simple little app that just does this one thing, and it does it well. And I love apps like that. It scratches an itch, probably the developer's own itch, and and it's very nice. So if you're the sort of person who has a MacBook and you move it around between monitors, and you're always wanting to move that dock and change the size and the orientation of it, this is for you. So
I like their website. It's a cheeky little moving tray.
Yes.
Well,
and they've
got popping up everywhere. Yeah,
the hand mirror app too. That's a funny thing to read through.
Oh, they have a map called Hand Mirror, which its only thing to do, its purpose is to let you look at yourself before you start a Zoom or a podcast, for instance. So
it's a funny read on it too.
Yes. Oh, I didn't know my hair was doing that sort of thing here. What's that in the background? Oh, I every time before I podcast, I look in the background to make sure everything is like you don't see the mess, like everything
right.
like below camera is out of sight. So these days Zoom is a thing. A lot of people are doing those sorts of presentations. So yeah, a little bonus pick for you there, and also free, which is nice. I think it is free. The HiDoc is free. I don't know if the hand mirror one is free, but
I think it was. Yeah. I just closed it, so I didn't look, but I think it was free. If it ain't,
too. It's cheap, but it's well worth.
I think he said, developer. "Do you want to pay for this?" And he says, "Please do, because you can pay me for it, and it'll help a little bit, so I can develop other things."
He's got a hand mirror plus. And a hand mirror plus generous.
Oh, he's got a good sense of humor there. So.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. I like it.
Excellent. So those are our picks of the week, and that is our episode. Before we go, I already thank the patrons, and I thank them again. But I do want to ask the listeners if you have anything you'd like to contribute to our discussion, anything you want to comment on, we'd love to hear from you at sqpn.com/technology or the StarQuest Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. You can send an email to technology@sqpn.com. I have to close this page with the HiDoc on. It's distracting me. So where was I? You can join us at our Discord community, where we are at sqpn.com/Discord. We have great tech conversations there. You can find the links from our discussion and our picks of the week on our show notes at starquest.fm/TEC296. Until next time, Thomas Sanjurjo, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
It's been great.
Pat Scott, thank you as well.
It's been informative and fun as usual.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy, The Secrets of Star Trek. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/Star Trek.